Yeah. Where am I trying to get it? Can't make up its mind.
It's gentle, sensitive.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, wow. Decided to go high. Oh yeah, right. When I never used a tuner when I was a kid. And now that he's a tuner, I can't tune without a tuner.
Yeah.
Radha Madhava. Is this sacrilegious to play guitar during Bhagavatam class? Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Shodhanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Vrajajana Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Jamuna Tira Manachari Jamuna Tira Jamuna Tira Tira Shari Jamuna Tira Manachari Jai Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Radha Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Radha Madhava ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anyone have a verse they want to talk about? Or a question they want to discuss? How much sense gratification can you have and still go back to Godhead? We were talking about that on the morning walk. You know, the interesting thing is that for someone who's very austere, like any little thing is sense gratification, like is relative in their world. Some little convenience may be sense gratification for a very austere person, and for someone, you could say, normal, then that level of little sense gratification for that austere person is austere for them. It's experienced as a sacrifice. So, you know, if someone's coming to Krishna consciousness, they give up a little, it's not very much from our perspective, but for them, it's a big thing, and Krishna sees them. So there's not always an absolute standard of what is considered sense gratification, because some things which are sense gratification for you may not be for me, and vice versa. But Prabhupada's philosophy was everything for Krishna. Well, not just his philosophy. I mean, that was his personal motto. So, for a devotee, the mentality of a devotee is everything is for Krishna's enjoyment. And even when I have something enjoyable, because I'm a devotee, it's Krishna's. So it's never just me. That's always for Krishna. Just like one of our devotees was saying this morning, sometimes he needs a little sense gratification so he can do his service. And so the sense gratification is actually not sense gratification, because the idea is to prepare myself so I can serve Krishna better. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm doing this sense gratification, because then I can do better service, right? You know, sometimes when we travel, then we're put in a room and it's too hot or it's too cold, or the bed's too hard, or it's too soft, or too light, you can't sleep. You say, how did it go last night? I said, I couldn't sleep. No, I slept well. You have a good bed. Yeah, you have the perfect bed. And then someone might say, well, I don't want to complain, that I need a certain kind of bed or whatever, a certain kind of pillow and a certain kind of blanket. It was too cold and it wasn't warm enough. But the point is, now I'm tired and I can't function. So I have to complain. It's not for sense gratification. It seems like it. Well, I have a backache now because the mattress was too soft, something like that. So, in one sense you could say, okay, for myself, in my own life, if I don't have this or that, somehow or other I'll deal with it. But if it's affecting my service for Krishna and I need certain things for my service, then I shouldn't feel reluctant to have them and think, well, this is sense gratification, because the service is suffering, right? So that's that. So as long as the mentality of the devotee is, I'm concerned about what is best for Krishna and what is best for service, then everything's good. Hare Krishna. Then we were talking this morning, what about spending money for service, like lots of money, for getting the best for service? Well, sometimes yes, sometimes it's not necessary. Sometimes the best is not necessary, and then it's a waste of money, and sometimes the best is necessary. And if the best is necessary, then we spend it. So we saw both things with Prabhupada. If something was important, he would spend. And if something it wasn't necessary to spend, he wouldn't spend. He wouldn't just spend it because he had the money. So we have to make discrimination. Then another important point, which is such a common problem, is that sometimes it's hard for us to accept what we need. Because if I were a pure devotee, I wouldn't need this. And so I'm going to try to live without certain things, because I know pure devotees wouldn't need these things. And then I try to live without these things, and I can't. And then I feel bad. I should be able to. Okay, you should be able to, but can you? So the question is, can you? So you have to determine what you can live without and what you can't live without. Because if you try to live without what you can't live without, it's not good for your bhakti, even though you should be able to live without it. So I think one thing we have to distinguish in bhakti is what I should do and what I can do, because they're not the same. For some people they are the same, but what you should do. Well, what should you do? You should get up at 2 o'clock and chant japa till 10. Shouldn't you? That's 64 rounds every day. Then you go to work. That would be good. That's what you should do. If you want to go, be really Krishna conscious, get up at 2. But Prabhu, whatever. Go to bed at 10, get up at 2, sleep 4 hours, chant 64 rounds, then go to work. That's what you should do. How many of you can do that? Raise your hand. Yeah. Especially if you go to bed at 10 and you go to work, you have to drink coffee to do your work. So that's not going to work. Right? Prabhu, I only sleep 4 hours a night, but I drink 6 cups of coffee during the day. So sometimes you have this scene, you're renouncing on one level, and the other level you're making up for your renunciation. Well, what do you do on Sunday? I sleep 24 hours on Sunday to make up for the 24 hours I missed during the week. Yeah. So, have you ever done that? You get out of balance. It's like, I fasted on Ekadasi, didn't drink water. Yeah, what did you do the next day? 46 pizzas and 20 scoops of ice cream. Congratulations, for your austerity. You kind of destroyed it. So, when you're realistic, you know, I would like to get up at 2 and chant 64 rounds. Maybe someday, maybe when I'm older. But right now, what do I need to do? And that's the hard part, is accepting the reality. And then you can go the other way. You can go too much sense gratification. So I've gone the other way. To be balanced, I went too far. And then I have all these, I'm doing things I don't need. It's a waste of time. I don't need all these things, right? You know what's interesting? I find interesting that some people who are not devotees sometimes live simpler than devotees. Have you seen that? Yeah, that's kind of like, how did that happen? But I can explain how it happens. That because we're all different and we have different needs, some of us can live more simply than others. I mean, it's not even a question of being a devotee. It's just like, that's their nature. Or they were raised that way and they're happy that way. But the point for devotees is, don't take more than is required. Like, do you know that one of the 26 qualities of a devotee, one of the qualities is to not eat more than required? Did you know that? It's one of the qualities of a devotee. And so, but eating sometimes is also synonymous to acquiring. So it's like eating and acquiring. Sometimes the words are used interchangeably. So we don't acquire more than is required. And you all are going to require different amounts, and you need to know what you require. And everything over is not going to be helpful for your bhakti, and everything under is not going to be helpful because you won't be able to maintain it. And when you give up something, you can't give up. You're not advanced enough to give up. It's not good for you. Have you ever tried to reduce something only to think about it all day? That's not good. I'm not going to eat sweets today. I'm just going to think about eating sweets all day. What's the point? Just eat the sweet. But the real point is that for a devotee, even if a devotee needs material things and maybe he thinks or she thinks, I wish I didn't need all these things. Okay, that's good. That's good. But you realize you need it. But the context of that is, I need this so I can better please Krishna. That's the context. Then it's okay. In bhakti, Krishna's always an enjoyer. Just like when you have deities at home, when you have deities in the temple, there's certain things you have to cook at certain times of the day, like Mangal Arti. The deities get sweets. They get sandesh, burfi, and pera, maybe sweet rice. In some temples, I forget, they get sweet rice at night. And then for morning offering, there's certain things they get. Noon, there's a certain menu you have to cook, right? Isn't it? 3 sabjis, 1 savory, 1 sweet, some bread, it's like that. But when you have deities at home, you don't follow that standard. What standard do you follow at home? Whatever you want to eat, that's what you offer them, right? Isn't it? You have 20 pounds of burfi lying around because nobody's going to eat it all. You don't cook that way, like 12 puris and sabjis all fried in ghee, So I think that's a good example. What are we doing with the deities? Well, everything's for Krishna's pleasure. Then why am I cooking what I like to eat? Because if I don't cook what I like to eat, we're going to offer the deity. Deities are going to get big and fat, and we're all going to starve. Or I can't eat everything the deity eats because it's not part of a diet. So we cook what we like to eat, isn't it? Of course. That doesn't sound like bhakti. I'm cooking what I like to eat and offering it to Krishna. But that's what it is. But we're offering it to Krishna. So who gets to eat it first? He does. And while you're cooking, you're thinking, I want to offer this to Krishna for his pleasure. Although the reason you chose to cook that preparation is because you like it. Interesting, isn't it? So, but how do you deal with that? You have to eat, and you have to eat what's healthy, and you have to eat what you like. But we're not going to touch it until Krishna eats it, because he's the enjoyer. Then it's sanctified, then it's balanced, then it's okay. So everything in our life is like, Krishna is the first to enjoy it, even if I enjoy it, right? Like some people, it's kind of funny, but they'll buy a car and they'll like do a puja. It's like, we want to offer these cars for Krishna. It's like pujas. Car pujas are not really found in Shastra, I don't think. Well, they didn't have cars, so. But I got a new TV, let's do a puja. This TV is for Krishna's enjoyment. Yeah, if you only watch Krishna conscious films, it is. But that's the idea, that we bought this, we use it for Krishna. I have a nice car, why not? I have a good job, I can afford it. Okay, that's fine. It's comfortable, you're satisfied. And you offer your car to Krishna. Krishna will use this car in your service. Then it's good. He's the enjoyer. That's the idea, right? Bhoktaram jagatapasam sarvalokameshwar. I am the enjoyer of all sacrifice. So everything's meant to be a sacrifice. So Krishna gets to enjoy it. And as long as Krishna gets to enjoy it, we're good. Because that's our constitutional position. Okay, Krishna, you eat this. Is it Prabhu? Is it offered? No, it's not offered. Oh, I can't take it. It's not offered. Because Krishna hasn't enjoyed it. Is it offered? Yeah. Oh yeah, okay, let's take prasadam. That's the devotee, right? Is it prasadam? Then I can take it. If it's not, I can't. And just like these flowers, you might say, but Mahatma Prabhu, we didn't offer these flowers to deities, we'd offer them to you. But everything that's offered to a devotee, in his mind, he's offering to Krishna. And he's, like sometimes it's said, if you offer to a Brahmin, if you offer bhoga to a Brahmin, it's prasadam, because the Brahmin eats on behalf of Krishna. You want to hear something really interesting? Yes. Only one person wants to hear it. I guess you don't think it's that interesting. This is not something you want to propagate, because devotees can misunderstand it. But you don't even have to offer anything you cook to Krishna. If, when you buy the bhoga, you think, this is for Krishna, everything you do in the kitchen is for Krishna. So basically you offered it. Or like if you're growing, let's say you're growing in your backyard, you're growing it to offer, you're seeing it as, oh, this is for the offering, everything in the kitchen is for preparing for the offering, you've basically already offered it. Because the whole time you're doing it for Krishna. So it's actually prasadam. Not that I'm saying you should, but sometimes we eat something and go, uh-oh, Prabhu, I didn't offer that, you ate bhoga. It's like, no, I didn't. Did you cook it for Krishna? Yeah, okay, it's prasadam. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So, and then we say, how do you distinguish material from spiritual? And we say, by how you see it. Here's this flower. Is it material or spiritual? What do you want to do with it? You want to use it in service? Oh, it's spiritual. You want to use it to give to your girlfriend? Oh, it's material. It's all in how you see it. It's the same flower, right? That's Krishna consciousness. So, like we were saying last night, if everywhere in this world you only see that everything belongs to Krishna and it's for his service, you're living in the spiritual world because you're only seeing spirit. So there's, what's the material world? Does the material world exist? In a sense, you can say it does not exist. At least it doesn't exist for a pure devotee, because a pure devotee only sees everything as for Krishna. So there's no material. So he doesn't exist in the material world. One time, Prabhupada was talking about envy and jealousy. And he said something interesting. He said, if you're envious, you're in the material world. If you're not envious, you're in the spiritual world. You're like, what? I'm sitting in the same house. And you're saying, the day I'm not envious, I'm in the spiritual world? Yes. Because in the spiritual world, there's no envy, right? So if I have no envy, I'm in the spiritual world. So if I use everything for Krishna, everything in my home I use for Krishna, I see everything as Krishna's. My home is the spiritual world. It's not in the material world. When I was first a devotee, they always said, it was always going around in our movement, that this temple, the temple I joined was in a city called Berkeley, California. And the devotees would always say, this temple is not in Berkeley, California. This temple is in the spiritual world. You know, like you walk in a temple and you feel like, ooh, I don't feel like I'm in Amsterdam anymore. Isn't it? Something like that. Why is this temple not in the material world? Because there's nothing in this temple for anyone's personal pleasure. It's only for Krishna. Like when you go in the temple, don't you see everything in that temple for service? Right? It's a spiritual world, right? Go home, you might see it differently. But in the temple, it's only for service. And our home is supposed to be that way also, ideally. You know, everything for service, then your home is a spiritual world. And you live in the spiritual world. Okay, and you say, well, I have these desires for nice things. Okay, get nice things for Krishna. I have a desire to dress up. Okay, dress up for Krishna. I have a desire to, make these beautiful, to have this beautiful cloth. All right, get a beautiful backdrop. There's so many ways you can dovetail or connect your desire for Krishna. Some people, it's their nature. They like beautiful things. They like to do things beautifully. All right, do it for Krishna. Build a beautiful temple. Make it beautiful. Right? Get beautiful clothes for the deities. Satisfy your desire for beautiful clothes. You'll be more satisfied getting beautiful clothes for Krishna than you will getting your own beautiful clothes. And then you can dress up beautifully also to see him. Why not? But the point is, like sometimes Prabhupada would say, Krishna likes, he's telling the women how to dress, and he's saying, Krishna likes beautiful gopis. So, women like to dress nicely. All right, dress beautifully for Krishna. You come in front of Krishna, you look beautiful. It's for his pleasure. What do you think? That's Krishna consciousness. Everything for Krishna consciousness. All right. So then we have this situation between what I need and what I want. As we know, there's a difference between what I need and what I want, right? What I want means I don't really need it, but I want it, And some of us will not be able to only live with what we need. We'll have to have what we want. And some of us can live only with what we need. But the principle of bhakti is we should never think or do or say anything that's going to have a negative effect on our bhakti. That's it's just suicidal. So if I look at what I want and I think, okay, I want this, if I don't get it, I'll be thinking about it forever, etc. Or I just really, I'll see other people have it and I'll just always be thinking about it. Okay. But somehow or other, when you fulfill that need, that desire, don't fulfill it in a way that's going to hamper your bhakti. Don't get anything that you want that's going to be destructive to your bhakti. Only what you can use, justify in some way, and use for Krishna. That's just common sense. Why would I do anything that would harm my bhakti? And all morning I'm chanting and praying for pure bhakti. That's the elephant bath. Right? The elephant bath? What do they call it? Hati Mata. Oh, that's elephant offense. Hati Snan. The elephant takes a bath, he gets out, and he lays down in the mud. Did you ever think about that? Like you're chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna, please help me. And then you don't want to do anything in the day, which is Krishna, don't help me. Let me just forget you. Did you ever do that? Krishna, please give me pure bhakti and put my beads down. Now, is it okay if I just forget you for the next, whatever, the rest of the day? That's not smart. Can I just enjoy? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Let's go. Let's go surfing. Although one sannyasi had a surfing ashram, so he figured out how to dovetail surfing and devotional service. But that of course is something to consider, that we don't want to be praying all morning for pure bhakti and then later in the day do impure bhakti, do the opposite of what we're praying for. So nothing that we want or need should be done at the expense of our bhakti. Okay. That's what I wanted to say. Yes, sir.
So if the intention is there to in first instance to use it for bhakti, and then later on you notice that it affects and it's more it affects your bhakti.
Oh, your intention was to use it for bhakti, but it's having a bad effect.
Yeah, and then so the desire is there then to renounce from it eventually. Which is then difficult because you're so used to it now.
Right, so you can't renounce it, but you're not using it properly because when you get around it, it's like an addiction or something, right?
So you're used to it.
Yeah. Well, what we want to do is kind of make it like an internal sankalpa, internal commitment, that whatever I like to do and the things that I like to have, I'll always somehow figure out how I can connect it to Krishna in a way that is not going to be detrimental. So maybe in your situation, it's just you have to approach it differently, with a different mentality and a different way of using it. And maybe you have to put some restriction on yourself. And it's like, I got this big, TV, and it's so nice to watch kirtans and lectures and documentaries and so forth. And it helps my Krishna consciousness, but there's also other stuff on there. So maybe I have to make some kind of commitment that I will, I have this tendency to watch so many things. All right, 1 hour a week I'll watch something else, or whatever it is. 10 minutes a day I'll get my you tell your wife, okay, I'm going on my 10 minutes, come in with a hammer, knock me on the head if I go over 10 minutes. Sometimes we need help in restricting ourselves because when you're around things that you're very addicted to, you have to be careful because you lose control. So sometimes you need help, or you make a commitment to yourself that, only for this amount of time, this many days a week will I do this. Because otherwise I can't control myself, so that's dangerous. Of course, the first instruction would be try to utilize, you say, I love to watch movies. Okay, well, we'll try to utilize that propensity for watching movies, either directly about Krishna or something that would help you in your bhakti. So, in some, like for myself, I watch a lot of things that are not directly bhakti, but I learn things which I can use either directly in my service or in my speaking, in my lectures. I gain information that I can apply in my lectures, or I can apply it in my life. So that's fine. It's all in, So I like to learn. So I can be watching podcasts like hours a day. I love to learn. And but when I'm watching a podcast, I'm always thinking, how could I use this in my service? So then you have some boundaries, and then you're okay within those boundaries. I've said before, when I wanted to do the Brahma Samhita, a new version of it. And in order to do that, I got help of one of my godbrothers, Havidas, and we figured out we needed certain things to do it. So we got the computer, we got the software, we got what we needed, the equipment and so forth. So I had a very good setup for recording. And then when I looked at it, I said to myself, you could stay in this studio all day and all night. The whole world could blow up. Your family could leave you. You could have not eaten for 14 days and you wouldn't even notice. You're just like, you could just be in there. From experience, I knew that. And so I looked at this and I thought, could be dangerous. Not that I would be in the studio doing devotional things, just being in there doing music, because I love to do music. And so I said, okay, we have to do something, because now the studio, to do this recording, we upgraded it. So it's like, wow, everything's good here. So I said to myself, number one, do not use the studio for anything other than devotional recordings. And kind of the idea was necessary, like what's necessary, not just, well, we're going to do a devotional recording because it's fun. Let's just do this, we'll have a good time. I don't have the time anyway to do that, but that was, I had to restrict myself. This studio is only used for practical devotional service. And then I had to make another restriction. Don't go in after 8 o'clock. Leave by 8 o'clock. Don't go in after 8, and if you're in, leave by 8, which I'm pretty good at doing. I've messed up a few times, but because if I stay after 8, I stay up till midnight or 1, and I don't even know, and I don't get tired doing it. So it's a bit of an addiction. So I had to make some restriction. So anything that you like doing for Krishna that has an addictive nature that could go beyond what was healthy for your service, you're going to have to make some rules just to protect yourself. I mean, that would be the best thing. At least have some consciousness that I could waste a lot of time with this unnecessarily. You ever waste time with something and then your wife says, "Can you do this?" And you say, "I don't have any time." Why don't I have time? Because I just wasted time with something else I didn't need to do. Or you tell that to yourself, "I'm so busy, I'm like so anxious right now because I can't get everything done, but I just wasted an hour doing something stupid." Whatever, So, one of the symptoms of an advanced devotee is that they utilize time. They don't waste it. And now, because we have social media, it's really easy to misuse time. When I was a young devotee, it was more difficult to misuse time. We didn't have gadgets for time misuse so much. I mean, you could sit and gossip. That was the main thing, just gossip. Talk about everything and anything that's not important. That's, that was the time waster. Prabhupada, occasionally, when he would see someone who was just, somebody just sitting around doing nothing, he would say, "Chant Hare Krishna." Don't do nothing. Don't just sit there and do nothing. Chant, read. So that was the worst we could do, is sit around, do nothing, or gossip, or go to sleep. But now the distractions are, everywhere. The only magazine we had in the temple was Back to Godhead. We didn't have Newsweek or whatever your magazine is, and all the things on the internet. So you have to be careful. What Prabhupada was trying to communicate to us. Is this yours? This is a good mic stand. It's not going to knock over because of the bass. Yeah. What Prabhupada was always communicating to us, always, was that if you want to be Krishna conscious, you have to be very intentional about it, because there's so many ways to deviate. Like in the Bible, I heard that Lord Jesus said in the Bible, like something to the effect that there are many ways to deviate. And like the path back to Godhead is narrow and the path away is many. There's just so many ways, right? So many things you can do to forget Krishna, isn't it? Like, especially now. So Prabhupada's mood was always like, be careful, because there's so many diversions on the road back to Godhead. And if you're not careful, that's what'll happen. So, and then he would say, well, you have to be very determined. And sometimes devotees say, Krishna consciousness is difficult. And the answer to that is, yes, you have to be determined, because it is difficult. It is difficult. It's difficult doesn't mean it's not possible. It's difficult, it means, yeah, well, you're going to have to try hard. And you're going to have to be determined and focused. And as soon as you're not determined and focused and you don't try hard, Maya comes in and just takes you for a ride. So, devotees would say, it's hard to chant 16 rounds, hard to follow principles. Yeah, but birth, death, old age, and disease is harder. So you have to see it that way. And that was Prabhupada's attitude. Like, why wouldn't you do this? If you do this, you can go back to Godhead. Yeah, but it's hard. It doesn't make sense. Does it? You can go back to Godhead, but it's hard. And it's not even hard, actually. We just think it is. I mean, how hard is it, right? I have to get up early. I don't like to get up early. It's not that hard. Just, go to bed early and just get up. And everyone else is doing it. Everyone in the material world is, 5, 6 in the morning, the roads are packed. People are going to work. So, so that was one of the consistent messages from Prabhupada. Then you have the example in Bhagavatam, Dhruva Maharaj. How determined was he? He was like, practically he'd do anything. He wanted to see Krishna. I mean, it was materially motivated, but he wanted to see Krishna so badly. He practically would do any tapasya, right? Just intense tapasyas, even to the point of like, he took one day or something, or every week, or this is the example, Dhruva. Like he set his mind, this is what I'm going to do. So that's how Prabhupada wanted us to be. Like you've come to Krishna consciousness. It's very rare. Human life is rare. Krishna consciousness is more rare than human life. You've come, so you have to be determined now to do it. It would be such a loss if you didn't do it. So all this, it's so difficult. It's within a context where the determination is not strong enough, and the value that I'm placing on Krishna consciousness is not strong enough. Because someone who's determined and places high value on Krishna consciousness doesn't say it's hard. They just say, it is what it is. It's like, you want to buy a Bentley. How much is a Bentley? You start at what? 350,000 or something? You don't go to the Bentley deal and go, 350,000, that's so expensive. Can I get one for 25,000? Excuse me, sir, the door's over there. The Toyota dealer's across the street. I think that's where you need to go. I'm like, excuse me, sir, go worship the demigods, get your sense gratification. You want bhakti, It's a little more expensive. So, that's why a devotee who's determined will never say it's expensive. The devotee who's determined will think, this is not expensive at all for what I'm getting. Yes?
But if you're driving this Bentley, let's say, and then you eventually come to a point where it's like, this affects me driving this Bentley, I better drive the Ford or the Volvo.
Yeah.
So to change
exactly.
To change my environment.
Yes.
In a good cause.
Yeah. So you have a desire or a need, well, let's say a desire, trying to fulfill it in a Krishna conscious way, but it's not working. And then sell the Bentley. The title of this lecture is Sell Your Bentley. Maybe we should write a book, Sell Your Bentley.
By temple.
Because I'm trying to utilize something in Krishna consciousness, but it's connected to things that I want. So yeah, it can be dangerous. And it's, Prabhupada said that the danger is, one of the dangers, well, the danger you said is real. Like, I'm trying to use it in Krishna consciousness, but I like it so much, it's making it difficult for me. The environment is not healthy. The other problem is right from the onset, you're trying to rationalize that I'm using this for Krishna when it's actually just for you. And so you're being dishonest with yourself, saying, I'm just doing this for Krishna, Prabhu. Okay. But actually you're not. It's just the only way you could validate doing it is you have to put some stamp that say, this is for Krishna, although, it really isn't. So Prabhupada said that was a problem in his spiritual masters movement, because like the idea of having a temple, and you utilize the temple to earn your livelihood. So I get a temple, I establish a deity, I make up some story. If you give money to this deity, your hair will grow back or whatever, Your arthritis will go away, your sick mother will be healed, you go to the bank, there'll be 10 times more of the donation you gave. You make up some story, everyone's running to the deity giving money, then you're getting fat and living nicely and sending your kids to Harvard. Hare Krishna. So that was the danger that Prabhupada saw. That you think it's for Krishna, but it's all for you. And you're just using that as mafiosos have like businesses as fronts to go put their money somewhere. So we made all the money in this business, in the pizza business, but they made all their money illegally. So it's like a front to validate my business, but my business is exploiting people in the name of the deities, the temple. So you can apply that to anything in life. I like to do kirtan, so then I think, I could be a kirtan rock star. And everything changes. All of a sudden you see me next time, I got like tattoos all over my neck, earrings, beard, I'm like, I got the profile. Like, what happened to Mahatma? He's trying to be a mantra rock star. Utilizing the holy name for my fame. That's dangerous, right? I think this is a really good example because it's so obviously wrong. But you can just adjust this example to anything, that I'm utilizing Krishna for me. It's not good. I mean, you could get purified someday, but it's not standard. It's not the way we want to do it. I'm looking for a wife. Well, how are you going to find her? I'm going to become a kirtan rock star, and all the girls are going to go, ah! And I'll have choice of so many women. And now I'm choosing my earrings, I'm choosing my clothes, my kurta, taking singing lessons so I can allure them with my beautiful voice. We lead kirtan to glorify Krishna. We lead kirtan to inspire people to glorify Krishna. That's it. That's why we do it. Anything other than that? Okay, we lead it because we like music and we like to sing, and if I don't sing, I won't be happy and I'll feel unfulfilled and all that. Okay, that's fine. But when I sing, when I actually do it, I do it to please Krishna. That's why. You had some question? No? Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. While praying to Krishna, how should we set the limits? For example, I am planning to buy a new house. I see a beautiful house on the border of a beautiful lake. I see I can nicely chant in the morning seeing the lake.
Yeah.
Now it comes to a question like when I wanted to pray, I only need to pray. Give me a chance to chant 16 rounds peacefully in the morning. Only I should limit till that point, or I can still extend and go further? Because if I go according to the mind, I have two thoughts. I can buy the house and peacefully chant, but another kind of burden comes and falls on my head with the EMIs, everything.
With a what?
With the EMIs, monthly interest, initial interest, everything, additional expenses comes to.
Yes, yes, yes.
No. Just buy a simple house, buy an apartment. Might be a lot of disturbance from the neighbors.
This question is easy to answer. Just ask your wife.
Big house.
Exactly. And the burden comes on you. Yeah. I mean, it's a fact. Because as men, we might say, well, I'd rather just get the simple house and not have the anxiety. Because what if I don't get a promotion or I lose my job? And I can speak from my own experience. You definitely don't want to be in financial anxiety. That's bad. And if you can afford a nice house, it's not a problem. But if you can't, then it becomes a problem. Right? If you think this will be a nice house in the long run, my kids go and inherit it, it's 10 years from now we're never going to be able to afford a house like this. Now it's reasonable. There's so many factors you can consider. And yes, it'll be a nice place. I'd love, to chant here, and that's fine. It's not a problem. The problem is if it's a financial problem. Maybe it's not a financial problem. It's you wanted to save, $1 million in the next 20 years, so you're only going to save $600,000. Oh, and so you make that decision, if that's okay. So I think it goes back to the same point. What you said was, I could chant good rounds here. You didn't say I could enjoy here. So you're already on the right track. You're thinking the right way. This would be nice space. I could have my own little office or whatever. With the other smaller place. We're on top of one another, driving one another crazy. So these are valid considerations. You just don't want to get yourself, what if you lose your job? Now how are you going to pay for it? Of course, I guess you can't pay for your apartment either, but it's easier. Your savings will get used up. But there's also investment. Pros and cons. I have traveled the world for 30 years, and places that are so expensive now were dirt cheap 30 years ago. And no one ever thought anyone would want to live there. I spent years in Mauritius. Mauritius, you just go south and a little east, and there you are, a little island. And it was so interesting, when I first got there, nobody wanted to live on the beach, except maybe the Franco-Mauritians, the French people. But the Indians, they lived in the city. I was like, why aren't you living on the beach? This is the best place. No, we don't like the beach. I think you're crazy. You should go buy all the property on the beach. Well, it's cheap. Now all the beaches are all hotels. Everywhere you go, it's just all hotels. Because the foreigners know, well, the beaches are good. And then the Indians started moving on the beach, and now you can't afford it. But 30 years ago, to buy beachfront property, beautiful, 10,000 euros or something. So sometimes you have to think practically. Will this be, I can live simply, but 20 years from now you might be thinking, I wish I would have bought that property, because if I sold it right now I could retire and live in Vrindavan the rest of my life. Or I could rent it out for 5,000 euros a month, I don't have to work. So all these considerations. And as we were saying before, the real consideration is, how will this enhance my bhakti? And so that's the question. How will it help? And as we were saying, sometimes sense gratification or comfort helps it. Although it seems like a paradox, but we need a certain level of satisfaction. And then I'm okay, and then I can just happily do my service. It's like you have a pain. Sometimes you have a pain, and you can't function well. and then you take an aspirin or something, it goes away, and now you can function. It's like that. You know, it's just like, sometimes desires are like pains, and I can't get rid. If I can't chant it away, I have to medicate it away, which means I have to like satisfy it in some way so it stops paining me. You know, so then you get the little apartment and you're chanting your rounds. And 16 rounds you're chanting, I should have got the house. I could be walking on the lake right now. You know, and so you chant like horrible rounds, just thinking about the other house. So you want to be practical. And you want to keep your wife happy, which is the main thing. You know, because you can say, well, it's nice to get the little place. Maybe she's okay with it, but if she's not, then that's also going to be, it's going to be a problem at some point. You know, and she's going to be chanting around thinking, why did that idiot not get the house? So you're both going to be thinking about the house. What? And then everyone says, they go to see the house and they go, wow, this is a nice house. How come you got such a nice house? And you say, so we could chant japa. So we could chant better japa, because if we didn't get the house, we'd be thinking about the house the whole time. Sometimes it's like that, isn't it? So you have to make these decisions. This is just reality. And, you know, like, you have to be real about where you're at. My wife is like so real. She's like guilt-free real about everything. And it's really good. You know, she's, this is how I am. You know, what's the problem? I need this. You know, don't be mental, just get it. You know, she's not mental at all. It's just, you know, it's like you're eating, you're not mental. You just eat what you need, right? As much as you need, you eat it. You don't sit there, I don't know if I should eat this extra puri, you know, it's like it says in Bhagavad Gita, you should eat too much, and I'm getting mental here. Let me ask my guru, should I eat this puri? You know, it's not like that. You just eat it and you're satisfied. So sometimes you have to be like that and just eat it. Okay, why are you eating it? Because I'm hungry. And do you really need to eat the other puri? No, but it tastes good, I want to eat it. And if I don't eat it, I'm just going to come back in the kitchen in a half hour and eat it anyway, so I'll just eat it now and over with. That's just being real. I wish I wasn't like that, but that's how I am. I think you could ask any devotee. So I wish I wasn't like the way I am and wouldn't need all these things, but I am. Right? Whatever. I don't know, in America, we have these big, what we call suburbs, you know, outside the city. You have them here also. And you get these like big, amazing homes in like little towns where that home in like New York would be like 10 million, and in that town it's like 500,000. And that's where all the Indians live. And they have their good jobs at Microsoft or Google or somewhere in there. And they're doing well, or they're doctors, or they're doing quite well. And they have these beautiful homes. And they give money, they do service, they do so much. It's like, you know, you're working and making 100,000, your wife's working and making 100,000. Why can't you buy a beautiful home? You know, it's only, in those neighborhoods, it's only like $500,000. It's like, why not? That's nothing for us. Okay, then you're happy. And you have more money, you do service, give money, everything's good. No problem, no mental. It's just like, it's what we want. Why'd you get such a big house? Because we wanted to. Right? It's like, then it's over. Like, and now we're just doing service. I stay with these families when I travel, and I see. They do so much service. That they have these amazing homes. I'm like, why do you need such a big home? You know? They get lost in the home. Because in some parts of America they have basements. And then they have these like half floors where there's like one floor but it's just one room. You ever see something like that? It's like, so they're like 4 floors in the house. And they're not like little ones. Like, big yards. And, whoa, nice. For them it's like, whatever. Why we came to America, to get something like this. Now we have it, so let's do devotional service. And they do lots of service, and they're very sincere. And they're not mental about it. It's just like, and when they're older, they'll sell it and live simply. Vanapras. part of the reason you get married is like to satisfy your senses, like to get it out of you. So you have this nice house. Then when you're like 70, you're like, yeah, let's just move to Mayapur and live in a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay, because you had your 5-bedroom house, and you're like, okay, tired of cleaning that thing, tired of paying for it, right? Kids are out, we've got all these bedrooms empty. We don't need them. Okay, we'll just move to Mayapur or Vrindavan, or we'll just move here and small. Or we'll start a preaching center somewhere. So that's part of the process, burn it out of you.
The desire already now is not when you're 70.
Does desire go when you're 70?
No. If you have this desire already now, instead of waiting till you're 70.
Oh yeah, I have that. Yeah. Well, you could renounce it, and then when you're 70, it attacks you. That happens also. Brahmachari till you're 70, then you get married. You don't want to do that. So it means you have to be realistic about it. You have to be, honest and realistic what you need, and it's not a problem if that's what you need, as long as your motive is to serve and advance. So if you think, always the equation is, how will it help my spiritual life, or how will it hurt it? I will make a confession that I never was interested in money. It's just not, we need money, but in terms of like having lots of money, I never was interested in it. And if you're never interested in having money, guess what happens?
You have it.
No. I wish. Well, I didn't have it. Yeah. Sometimes that happens, but generally those, like the hippie types, we don't care about money. They're the ones who don't have it because they don't care. But it doesn't work. If you're married and you have a family, you can't be too renounced, because you need certain things. So at some point I had to change that mentality because it didn't work. I can't be, I'm in the wrong ashram for renunciation. Get in the right ashram, then it's okay. Who cares about money? We don't want to deal with it. Then it's okay.
We have got a little bit of more wisdom from which we are drawing little bit of confusion. For example, in 9th chapter, first canto 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, while Bhishma was giving instructions to Yudhishthir Maharaj, he says, a Grihastha should donate 50% of his income for charity. Such instructions, how should we take it? If we say it like practically it's not possible, then lot of instruction I say like practically it's not possible, and like whatever I need.
Yeah.
So how should we...
That instruction is, that one and 50 rounds, well, sex only 50 rounds, those are challenging instructions for sure. The economy, well, when I was a devotee in 1970, I got married, I think, in 1971 or 2, so I was only like 21, 22 years old. The cost of living was so low that you could do that. I didn't get 50%, I think I gave 90%. It was because it only cost a few hundred a month to live. And I was distributing books, so I might collect 1,000 a month selling books, and my overhead was 200, so it was no problem. I'd give more than 50. The cost of living went sky high in the late 80s and 90s, at least in the United States. It just went, and all of a sudden it was difficult to live. What to speak of now, post-COVID? So some devotees, they say, well, give 50% of your energy. Like, give time. Can you give, it's hard to give 50% of your time. Give something. I think probably 10% is more realistic. So we say 50% and then you get nothing. Nobody, if you say 50%, like, oh, then I'll give, 100 a month. If you say 10%, yeah, that's what the Christians say, 10%. I think 10% would be. If we could get 10, what to speak of 50, we could get 10 from every member. We could build a new temple every year. right? Isn't it? Well, we'd have, wow, yeah. I know very few people who give 10%. Who give 50%. Most of the people who give like a few percent, or they give more than 50 because they have so much. Yeah. So you don't want to invalidate the instructions, but keep the principle there. I don't have money to give 50%, but I give 100% of my time. I mean, I can at this point in my life. So I think you can look at that also. Right? I think it would be amazing to give 10%. Everybody gave 10%. That even is not easy, because that's a lot of money every year that you're not going to spend on yourself, but that's good also. You could have done this and gone to your Disneyland vacation and bought your new Tesla every 2 years, but now you can't because you're giving 10%. But that's okay. That's a sacrifice. Hare Krishna. Okay. Yes.
I have one question from Gita. Krishna was saying to Arjuna, focus only on the action, not on the result. How do we really put in practice in this?
No, not exactly. Yeah, it's a good question. When Krishna says don't be attached to the result, he doesn't mean don't be attached to doing things well. He means what we're talking about. The benefit that comes from that, that's not for you, that's for me. But we're very attached in a certain sense to doing things well, but also detached because we're not controllers. So that's also part of it. When Krishna says, don't be attached, it's like you can't be attached to outcomes because you don't know what they're going to be. But you can have intentions to create good outcomes for Krishna, but then well, it's up to him. I want to do this project. Don't be attached. No, I'm very attached to making it successful. I have to have some attachment, otherwise it's not going to happen. Because I'm not attached, who cares? When are you going to do the project? Oh, whenever, who cares, I'm not attached. That's just laziness. So, I am attached to this project. I have the vision. I want to make it work. But if it doesn't, then what can I do? I have to be detached. And I'm not attached to getting any material benefit from it. Because maybe I'll become recognized when the project is successful. Maybe it'll bring in a lot of wealth. It's all for Krishna's enjoyment. That's it. We exist for Krishna's enjoyment. So as long as you have that mentality, everything's good. I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Okay. That means whatever I get, that's for you, Krishna. That scares some people. Nothing for me. Well, you'll get, if you give everything to Krishna, you'll get more. He'll give you everything you need and more, plus more. It's like, you're going to trade something, with your friend. You go, well, if I give it to you, I don't know if you're going to give it to me. So give it to me first. No, you give it to me first. Because you could take it and run. So Krishna is saying, give it to me first. And then I'll give it to you. Ye tamam prapadyante. Hare Krishna. Is that okay? We stop now? Take prasadam. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ho. Taigo Premanandi. Gauranga.